Why are pandas so different from other bears? When you look at a giant panda, it's easy to forget that you're looking at a bear. It doesn't chase prey like a polar bear. It doesn't spend its days hunting like a grizzly. It doesn't build up huge fat reserves before disappearing into a den for the winter. And instead of eating a varied diet of meat, fish, berries, insects, and other foods, the giant panda spends most of its life eating bamboo. In fact, pandas have turned one of the least nutritious foods in the forest into the foundation of their entire existence. So how did a member of the bear family end up living such a completely different lifestyle? Why do pandas behave this way? Why did they become almost entirely dependent on bamboo? And what does their unusual lifestyle have to do with the survival of the species? Giant pandas are native to China. Today, wild pandas are found in a relatively small mountainous region of central China, primarily in parts of Sichuan, Shanxi, and Gansu provinces. Their natural habitat consists mostly of cool, humid mountain forests with dense bamboo growing underneath the canopy. These forests can be steep, rugged, and difficult for humans to navigate. For a panda, however, they provide almost everything it needs: food, water, shelter, and places to raise young. But there is one thing that matters more than almost anything else: bamboo. Pandas aren't simply animals that happen to like bamboo. Their entire lifestyle has been shaped around it. And that's where the story gets interesting, because bamboo is actually a terrible food for a large mammal. It contains a lot of tough plant material and relatively little energy compared with foods such as meat or high-calorie fruits. So why would a bear choose to live almost entirely on it? The answer is hidden in the panda's evolutionary history. The giant panda belongs to the bear family, or Ursidae. That means it's a genuine bear, just like brown bears, polar bears, American black bears, and several other species. But if you compared their lifestyles, you might think pandas belonged to an entirely different family. Most bears are opportunistic omnivores. They don't necessarily have one single food that dominates their entire diet. A brown bear might eat berries in one season, fish in another, insects, roots, carrion, or small animals when the opportunity appears. Black bears are similarly flexible, and polar bears have become highly specialized in the opposite direction. They rely heavily on animal prey, especially seals, because that's what their Arctic environment provides. Pandas took another path. At some point in their evolutionary history, their ancestors became increasingly dependent on plants. Eventually, bamboo became their specialty. And this was a surprisingly effective strategy. Bamboo grows abundantly in the panda's mountain habitat. Unlike prey animals, it doesn't run away, it doesn't fight back, and it can provide food across much of the year. So instead of competing with other predators for meat, pandas could exploit an enormous plant resource that many other animals couldn't use as efficiently. But specialization always comes with a price. Once your entire lifestyle revolves around one food source, you become dependent on the environment that produces it. Because bamboo doesn't provide a huge amount of usable energy, pandas need to spend a large part of their day feeding. A panda may spend roughly 10 to 16 hours a day eating. Imagine having a job where your entire shift is basically lunch. That's the panda's life. This is one of the biggest differences between pandas and many other bears. A grizzly might spend hours searching for a concentrated source of calories. A polar bear may travel enormous distances looking for seals. A panda does something much simpler. It finds bamboo and eats as much of it as possible. Here's where pandas become really strange. Their digestive system still resembles that of a carnivorous mammal. Unlike cows and other specialized herbivores, pandas don't have a complex multi-chambered stomach designed specifically for breaking down cellulose. Their ability to extract energy from bamboo is relatively limited. So how do they survive? They compensate with quantity. Instead of getting a huge amount of energy from every bite, they eat enormous amounts of food. They also spend much of their time conserving energy. And this explains something you've probably noticed when watching pandas. They don't exactly look athletic, they move slowly, they spend a lot of time sitting, and they sleep frequently. But calling a panda lazy misses the point. It's actually an incredibly sensible strategy. If your food provides relatively little energy, you don't want to waste that energy unnecessarily. A panda doesn't need to chase a meal. It doesn't need to sprint through the forest. It doesn't need to fight other predators for every piece of food. Its food is stationary, so the panda can afford to be slow. In a way, the panda has solved the problem of eating low-energy food by becoming an expert at conserving energy. But bamboo isn't easy to eat. It's tough, and some parts of the plant can be surprisingly difficult to break apart. So pandas evolved some fascinating adaptations. One of the most famous is their so-called pseudo-thumb. It isn't actually a sixth finger. Instead, it's an enlarged wrist bone that works alongside the panda's other digits. This allows pandas to grip bamboo stalks and manipulate them with remarkable precision. They can hold a piece of bamboo between their paws while stripping away the outer layers and selecting the parts they want to eat. Their jaws are equally impressive. Pandas have powerful chewing muscles and large molars capable of crushing tough plant material. So beneath that adorable face is a surprisingly powerful feeding machine. The panda may look soft and harmless, but its teeth and jaws are perfectly suited to its unusual diet. Giant pandas are mostly solitary animals. Adult pandas usually maintain their own ranges and communicate with other pandas using scent marks, vocalizations, and other forms of signaling. They aren't naturally social animals that travel around in large family groups, and again, bamboo helps explain why. Imagine several giant pandas living in the same small area. Every one of them needs huge quantities of bamboo. If they were constantly competing for the same food, there would be little benefit to living together. Being solitary reduces competition. Each panda can move through its own range, find food, and conserve energy without constantly dealing with rivals. But pandas aren't completely antisocial. There is one very important exception. Breeding. When the breeding season arrives, males and females may seek each other out, but the period during which females are fertile is extremely short. That makes reproduction a difficult process, and it becomes even more challenging when suitable habitat is divided into isolated patches. So how different is the panda really? Let's compare it with a few of its relatives. Take the brown bear. Brown bears are highly flexible omnivores. They can eat plants, fish, insects, mammals, fruits, roots, and carrion. Their diet changes depending on what's available. The panda is almost the opposite. It's highly specialized. Now, consider the polar bear. Polar bears live in an environment where high-energy animal food is essential. They can spend enormous amounts of time and energy hunting seals. Pandas don't do anything like this. They don't need to chase their food. They simply sit down and eat. Then there are American black bears. Black bears can climb trees, but they're also highly adaptable and can live in forests, mountains, swamps, and even areas close to humans. Pandas have a much narrower habitat requirement. They need specific mountain forests with sufficient bamboo. So, while all of these animals share the same basic bear ancestry, evolution has taken them in completely different directions. The panda became a specialist, and specialization can be incredibly successful. As long as the environment remains suitable, the panda doesn't need to compete with every predator for the same food. It has developed an extremely efficient way of exploiting bamboo. But there is a serious downside. Imagine your entire survival depends on one type of habitat. If that habitat disappears, you can't simply move somewhere else and start eating something completely different. This is one of the reasons habitat loss and fragmentation are such important conservation issues for giant pandas. There is some good news. Conservation efforts have helped improve the status of the giant panda. The species was once classified as endangered by the IUCN. Today, it is classified as vulnerable. That's an important conservation success. But vulnerable doesn't mean safe. It means the species still faces a high risk of extinction in the wild. There are estimated to be around 1,864 giant pandas living in the wild. And while that number represents significant progress, it's still an incredibly small wild population compared with many other large mammals. More importantly, pandas remain dependent on a specialized habitat. Protecting pandas therefore means protecting the forests they depend on. That means preserving bamboo forests, maintaining habitat corridors, reducing fragmentation, supporting conservation research, and working with local communities to find ways for people and wildlife to coexist. And this is where all of us can play a role. You don't have to live in China, you don't have to be a scientist, and you certainly don't have to travel into the mountains to help. If you want to support panda conservation, you can donate to reputable wildlife organizations working to protect their habitat and populations. We'll leave links to trusted panda conservation organizations and donation pages in the description below this video. Even a small contribution can support habitat protection, research, education, and conservation programs. Because ultimately, saving the panda isn't about keeping an adorable animal around for us to look at. It's about protecting a species that has evolved in a completely unique way. The panda isn't a failed predator. It isn't a lazy bear, and it isn't simply a bear with funny colors. It's something much more interesting. It's a highly specialized survivor that took a completely different evolutionary path from its relatives. And now that specialization is both its greatest strength and one of its greatest weaknesses. So the next time you see a panda sitting under a tree, quietly chewing bamboo, remember that you're looking at one of evolution's strangest success stories. And if we want that story to continue, we have to protect the forest that made it possible. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to The Wild Feed for more fascinating animal content. Also drop a like and let me know in the comments if you have ever seen a panda in person.